Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to this month in German startups in December 2021 by Startuprad.io, again with Chris in New York. Hey, Chris, how is the Rockefeller Christmas tree?
It's actually a lot. I walked past it and it's really colorful. I even watched the 2-hour show on NBC because that night I did not have anything else to do. But yeah, it's a lot. That's all I will say.
Have you been there at the lighting ceremony ever?
No. Yeah, I've been once to the lighting ceremony, but I mean, it's dark at one moment and then it's bright at the other. It's not much of a
And you have to
spectacle.
You have to stand in the crowd and wait for an hour or longer. I know. Yeah, been there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, me, Joe from Frankfurt. We recorded this news episode on Monday, December 20th, 2021. It's almost over, and all news not included here will be published in our next news episode. Will be live sometime end of January. There will also be our final Fintech review annually on December 25th. And we will be back with an interview of an AI startup in our new partnership with the German Artificial Intelligence Association, KI Bundesverband, on January 13th. So we take a few weeks off around the holidays. And by the way, happy holidays. But we're not there yet, so let's get started. Today we bring you another new unicorn, a monster funding of 266 million US dollars. Volocopter calls off its SPAC IPO, gets a backlash from its early crowd investors. Also, Jokr is now the third quick delivery unicorn in record time, and we have an update on Sono Motors. We also take a look at the state of the European tech survey by Atomico and several news on the German startup scene and venture capital scene. Let's talk startups. As always, thank you to our enablers, Invest in Hessen, Hessen Trade and Invest. This show was made possible by Hessen Trade and Invest with their brand Invest in Hessen. You can learn more about them in the link down here in the show notes, as well as startupraven.com, the best way to identify investors and cooperation partners for early stage startups. You can sign there up for early access. The top news. Christian, you want to talk a little bit about top news?
Yeah, we have a couple of companies this time around who actually made huge progress in terms of getting funded. One of them is, for example, Mambu. They are a Berlin-based company which nabbed $266 million at a $5.5 billion valuation to double down on their embedded financial service and banking APIs. Then we have a story that is not as successful, and it seems as if maybe one of the huge trends of the past couple of years is already fading in that regard, because we're talking about Volocopter. And Volocopter stopped their SPAC IPO, and their early backers are unhappy with it. They called the SPAC the SPAC deal off to list at Nasdaq, citing an unfavorable capital market environment. And for example, Lilium, a competitor from Munich, did go public via SPAC, but ended below expectations as well. So the decision seems to be sensible, but left the early crowdfunding backers furious, obviously. They had hoped for payday and are afraid to be left alone with the minimum guaranteed payment of 1%, which was promised during the crowdfunding. And one of Germany's leading business newspapers, normally not known to be very dramatic, wrote in their headline that Volocopter turned from a light tower for crowdfunding in Germany to a memorial. And so, yeah. Probably it's like in the middle, it seems as if in the middle of the pandemic, individual air taxis are not everyone's top of mind. Who knew? Yeah, and that was Handelsblatt, by the way.
That is actually surprising, Chris. It's in the middle of a pandemic, which is basically distributed by breathing, and small confined spaces are not very trendy. Huh. What a
Yeah,
surprise, huh?
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just a small town boy, and it seems like such a frivolous product and service in the first place to me. I don't know.
Just one question on that. You're a small town boy and now you're living for at least 7 years in New York City, right?
Yeah, I'm basically J-Lo. Yeah. So, and then Sono Motors needs more money. It's a solar car company that raised more than 155 million US dollars in November with their successful Nasdaq IPO. And now they need an additional 200 million euros, 225 million US dollars as of now to start the production of their first model, Sion. We have news about one of the companies that I am even a customer of, Jokr. So without the E. It's now a new unicorn. They are based in Berlin, and it's one of those super fast, quick delivery grocery unicorns that we a couple of times talked about in the podcast. And they are now the third unicorn in that industry, reports Deutsche Startups exclusively. They got a 200 million US dollar investment by G Squared, which already invested in competitor Gorillas. And related to that, it took SellerX 14 months to become a unicorn, Gorillas 9 months, Flink only 8 months. So still a lot of movement in that market. But as we said a couple of times before on the podcast, I think it's really going to be interesting to see how price sensitive people really are. And right now we're in this phase where I think everyone just tries to get into the market and hopes to remain at one point the last man standing. Back to you.
Great. Thank you, Chris. We are talking about food, urban farming. The urban farming startup Infarm from Berlin also raises 200 million US dollars from Qatar's sovereign wealth fund at unicorn valuation. They are a new unicorn, Payhawk. The Berlin-based payment Fintech raises 112 million US dollar as Series B funding. Tony's, the company behind the kids' toy Tony's Box, was listed via SPAC deal on Frankfurt Stock Exchange. They merged with 468 SPAC. Autoflight lands 100 million US dollars investment in Series A funding from Team Global and its founder Lukasz Gadowski. You can learn more about Lukasz in our interview here. There are also updates from the neo-broker competition, a contender in the neo-broker wars in Europe. Scalable Capital made a move. They want to win over younger investors and lower the monthly minimum for ETF investment plans to 20 euros a month. There is also another move from them. They start their Bitcoin trading activities. Now Scalable also offers Bitcoin trading. They are actually not really they are actually right now broker, but their origins are from a robo-advisor. Christian, you got your crystal ball there? I want to look into mine for 2022. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sure. Let me talk about this and make all the wrong predictions.
Sure, go ahead.
So we have a couple of German IPO candidates for 2022 that people are talking about. For example, Fintech's N26 that we had on the podcast quite often, and Solaris Bank, as well as the dating portal Parship, Meet, and they may list in public markets in 2022. We have a little article referenced in our show notes about that. Then we will again look in the crystal ball together with a political analyst in early 2022, looking at the initiatives the new German government wants. As you may know, Germany is now run by a coalition of the Social Democrat Party, the Green Party, and the Liberal Democrats. And we will have an outlook what this might mean for the startup world and for business in general. TGF is Europe's most important early stage VC, backed half by the government and half by corporate money. They have a 2022 outlook on their website as well. Important developments to watch out for in 2022, it's called. Some of the headlines that we found interesting were investing more energy in researching infectious diseases. 2022 will also be a year in which innovation and pioneering technologies are in focus across all areas and industries. New opportunities with quantum technology and new space, and world of work being in flux, the constant battle over talent. Back to you about the ecosystem. And yeah, some of it we already talked about since December. Let me just quickly take this one over. On December 8th, the new Chancellor Olaf Scholz was sworn in. He's now the 9th Chancellor of Germany, by most counts the 9th regular, because there was an 8-day interim chancellorship. So technically he's also the 10th Chancellor if you really want to be smart at some Christmas party. But he's the 9th regular one. He is from the center-left Social Democratic Party, SPD, and he governs in coalition with the Green Party and the Liberal FDP, and which will also lead to changes for startups in Germany. We will have an interview especially related to small and medium-sized enterprises on this early next year with an expert. And I hand it over to you with COVID talk.
Yes, exactly. We may also add, for everybody who's not familiar with politics here in Germany, FDP is the Liberal Party, and they're headed by Christian Lindner, who has also been admittedly unsuccessfully, but who has also been an entrepreneur raising venture capital back in the days. Not really from Germany, but Pfizer executives say COVID could become endemic in 2024. One could also interpret this as we are back to almost normal in 2024. A lot to talk about in the German VC ecosystem here. Germany's first VC fund for female founders is launched, and there is the German VC and private equity barometer Q3 2021, third quarter. VC business climate is at an all-time high, but improves only slightly. Keep in mind that was before Omicron. Of the components of the index, improvements in taxations are expected, but fewer options for exit. Fundraising and deal flow are still good. Different topic, German fintechs raised $4 billion in the first 9 months of 2021. This is remarkable since this is more than from 2016 to 2020 combined. A little bit more general German news. IFO is a very frequently and closely observed business climate indicator. IFO is the university institute behind it, and it is not looking good. It used to be coronavirus wave weights on IFO Business Climate Index 2021, but 2021 is also set for record IPO. 2021 set a record for IPOs. German companies raised 9.3 billion euros with domestic IPOs and 1.8 billion with IPOs abroad. Corona had made a strong shift to e-commerce, and the effects show not only in retail but also in the rents for retail spaces. In Germany's top 7 cities, the rents dropped in all cities, in some by more than 10%. Talking a little bit about the state of venture capital and the hot private capital markets, venture capital, but on a more general level, more European and global level. European VC investments outperform US ones and have over the past 2 decades. Also, family offices become serious rivals to VC firms for funding startups. There's also an article on the bright new age of venture capital, and another one from TechCrunch where they say 10 billion is the new 1 billion and we need a new framework for startup valuation. The Economist says the private markets party reaches the fever pitch. And there is another article, decentralized venture capital will transform startup investing forever. I would just hint that the IMF warns of crypto risks and suggests global standards. And I think Chris can talk a little bit about the Atomico survey.
Sure. Also, I want to acknowledge that also for me, 10 billion is the new 1 billion, of course. Story of my life, basically. So the Atomico's State of Human Tech, which is also
European
linked
tech.
in our show notes. Yeah, if we look at Atomico's State of European Tech, we see a couple of interesting developments. One, for example, is headlined Crossing the $100 billion mark, led by $250 million plus rounds. European tech is on track to cross $100 billion in capital invested in a single year for the first time. So there looks as if there is a record there, even though market circumstances because of the pandemic are so insecure or volatile. Then Europe's unicorn count is soaring. Technology companies in Europe grew faster than ever, with another 98 reaching unicorn status so far in 2021. The decacorn herd of companies worth $10 billion or more also doubled in size. 26 European companies now hold that status. Total value of the European tech ecosystem crosses $3 trillion. Took decades to reach a value of $1 trillion in December 2018. The next two were reached in record time. So the question obviously on everybody's mind is where to next? Some of the largest deals that are mentioned in the report are Celonis with $1 billion from June, Gorilla's $950 million from September, N26 $900 plus million dollars from October, and Trade Republic from May with $715 million. And the largest exits include Auto1's IPO in February at $12.9 billion. So Plus buyout Zoo Plus with $3.5 billion. Lilium's SPAC deal with $3.3 billion, and Hensoldt's merger worth $2.8 billion. Note that Hensoldt is a leading European player in the field of sensor solutions for defense and security applications, owned by KKR. Leonardo bought a 25.1% stake in April 21 from KKR. And if you guys like, we could also make a wrap up of Atomico and look a bit deeper into all these results. If that's the case, please let us know. If you want to hear more about the survey on all existing channels, you know how to reach us by now. Let's have a look at some cities and bring this podcast back to your hometown, or like hometown region, Frankfurt.
Yes, talking about the hubs. First, Frankfurt. As always, there is no specific order, and this is just how we discovered the news. Volocopter received an undisclosed investment from Japan-based drone fund. Of course, you can learn more about the co-founder of Volocopter in our interview. Finance software startup Fintus sells majority stakes to Anacap private equity fund in recent multi-million financing round. The Frankfurt-based Grovey raises 3 million euros for its quick grocery delivery service that puts sustainability and work culture first. Frankfurt-based PropTech Think Technologies raises 7.5 million euros venture capital, also involves employees in the funding round, and you can learn more about the founder in our interview there. Christian, you already want to take over Munich?
Sure. So in Munich, the e-commerce logistics provider Everstocks raised 20 million euros in funding. More about that at Tech.eu. And then we have Kasavi, which got also 20 million euros in a Series B investment to build Europe's leading digital property management platform. From Munich, we jump to Hamburg, a hub in the north, where we see that compliance platform TaxDo raised $64 million in a Series B round to build the financial operating system for e-commerce. And Hamburg-based Deal Code nabbed €1 million to make sales teams more successful. Moving on to a city that we rarely have in our news. It's in the center of Germany called Bielefeld, where Bitly bought the German-based QR code startup Egoditor, Egoditor, for around €300 million. Back to you and back to another country, I would say.
Okay, let's do a little bit Austria. Austrian Growth Capital Fund is intended to invest 15 million euros in scale-ups or buyouts in Austria. Per deal, now they make their first closing at 140 million. And do you know Vienna-based Starbucks? You should. They are now partnering with IKEA in Austria to enable the clients to pick up their delivery from Starbucks storage rooms in their vicinity. Company with a K instead of a C is a Vienna-based scale-up, which sold itself to Moody's for more than 100 million euros. Enlivio is a Vienna-based startup which counts Porsche amongst its investors. Now they start with their app to enable a mix of on-site and app-guided physiotherapy. Talk a tiny bit about Switzerland. The Swiss private bank Bourdieu & C partners with the fintech Moonfair to access private equity funds. Christian, you got some general news, I do believe.
Yeah, some more general news about my old employer, Mercedes, and Mercedes beat Tesla in autonomous driving. Mercedes got a level 3 license for autonomous driving, outdoing all competitors, including Tesla. Level 3 equals complete autonomous driving up to 60 kilometers per hour, about 37 miles per hour. And in the show notes, you can also read a bit more about the regulation in Germany. We have some fintech news. Where we see that Berlin-based fintech FinCompare is bought by a syndicate of cooperative banks. Investors, including Speed Invest and Inc., have so far invested 20 million euros. Therefore, the price of 15 million euros is quite surprising. Deutsche Bank's in-house neobank for SMEs First now has 25,000 customers. They stick to their free basic account model, but their competitors are larger, with Holvi having 90,000 clients and Penta having 40,000 clients in Germany. We'll see how that competition plays out. The German and UK fintech startup fintech unicorn SumUp is trying to be a European Square, so the little things where you can sometimes pay in stores with, by offering banking services via app to retail clients. They add features with acquisitions. N26, the new bank, made a second closing, raising additional money to their 900 million Series E round. Read more about that in a little blog post that we're having. And Germany's #1 crowdfunding platform Exporo restructures and cuts their headcount. Plus, a German startup blog writes that Klarna's super app is totally innovation free. And more about that you can read at Finance Forward. Oh, which brings me, I thought we would already skip, but since I am the guy who does not eat anything that ever had a mother, we also have news about vegan and vegetarian startups, which is something that flew under the radar of many because Germany's largest producer of vegan products, Vegans, IPO'd in November in Frankfurt. They raised almost 50 million euros, and they IPO'd at 87 euros a share and have been trading up to 94 euros since then. They raised 47.6 million euros in funds at 106 million euros valuation. We have news about Code Check, an app for vegans to check if food contains animal products. They have 4.5 million users supposedly, but despite that had to file for insolvency because they did not earn enough money with their users. And then we have Perfect, which is written not like perfect, but exchange the EC from perfect for egg. And they brought in their first capital to shell out a plant-based egg alternative, hence the name. Moving on from the vegans and vegetarians, Delivery Hero updates. Foodpanda, a subsidiary of listed Delivery Hero, starts in 6 cities in Germany. They shut their German business end of 2018 and are back now. And Delivery Hero does not get permission to take over the Saudi Arabian competitor, the Chefs. And this was the second attempt. Back to you talking about some indices.
Yes, talking about stock market indices here in Germany. Former e-commerce stars Home24 and Westwing will be kicked out of SDAX, the little brother of Germany's main stock index, effective December 20th. Index tracking ETFs will have to sell, analyst coverage will decrease. Most of our followers know TeamViewer and Soup Plus. Now both will be kicked out of the share price index Euro Stoxx 600. A few very, very, very much selected funding rounds here. Not to get you confused with all the funding. Gina, a Berlin-based open source neural search company, raised 30 million in Series A funding, US dollars. Berlin-based Solar, like spelled with a Z instead of an S, raises a fresh 20 million euros, aims to solar panel the world. An interview with the co-founder, with the founder Alex, you can find on our partner podcast, Startuprad.io, link in the show notes. Blickfeld, the LiDAR startup, announced an extension of their Series A financing to 31 million US dollars in total. New investors are New Future Capital, and the existing investors, Osram, Tengelmann, UVC Partners, participated, as well as ATGF. Tinevik invests 95 million US dollars together with Quatur, Eurozoe, Atomico, Creadum, and La Familia in Berlin-based car-sharing startup Vay, spelled V-A-Y, enabling them to deliver and return shared cars with remote drivers. N26Boss invests in all-female founded finance education platform called BeatVest, following the model of Masterclass. Hakuna is a insurtech you should know. They offer very boringly warranty extension, but they raised 1.5 million euros from investors, including founders of SumUp and Klarna. And the German thrift organization prepared to offer Bitcoin trading in 2022, adding 50 million people as potential new investors. Christian, do you think SPACs are dead?
Well, you have heard that SPACs are not dead yet. So Berlin-based Signa Sports United went public on the New York Stock Exchange on December 15th in the largest German SPAC deal with gross proceeds of 484 million US dollars from YAC Trust, valuing the company at 3.2 billion US dollars. We talked a bit about the quick delivery startups, which is also a market environment not totally unproblematic, because, for example, Gorillas want to sue again against the formation of a workers' council, and Cora, a bike courier collective, want to be the better Gorillas, they say. Founded was the company by a driver left without a job with the retreat of UK-based Deliveroo from Germany. So Cora, Khora, in case someone looks it up, might be like an organic and sustainable competition there. Berlin-based Tier announced its acquisition of Wind Mobility Italy, with e-scooters now available in Bari and Palermo, which sounds like some company trip that everybody should take to check them out. And then Benedikt Rodenstock is known to insiders in Germany as an investor in Mr. Specs and Amorelli, both shooting stars of the German startup scene. And he now raised a new fund for early stage startups with Arvik Capital Partners. And Adidas' first NFT drop earned $23 million.
We have 3 more articles. Stay ahead of the curve. And we leave you now to your holidays. Right, Chris?
Yes. Ho, 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 as you said.
Ho, ho, ho. Stay safe. Happy holidays. Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, stay safe. Truly.
Hey, Chris, there was no siren today. You owe me a donut, right?
There was a little quiet one. You couldn't hear it. I heard it. It was very far away.
Great. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.